Hello and welcome to another video. My name's Mike and this is 3.27 Keepers of the Flame. So the build that I decided to play this league is a little normal or a little different than what I normally play. This is a Reap Ignite Elementalist. So kinda the base of the build is you stack a bunch of physical damage, you convert it to fire damage, you're an elementalist so everything ignites, and you just walk around blowing up the screen. Really comfy mapping, and I mean, it should have a lot of boss DPS, but you're limited by dot cap, so give or take, I mean, it's decent. So currently I am level 86. I've got Uber Lab done, and I'm into like yellow, red tier maps ish. Passive tree, it's pretty standard ignite fire passive tree. I am block, which we will go over in a little bit. So for ascendancy points, you kind of have two main points. Your Legion of the Primordial, which did get nerfed this league, but yet is still great. It just gives you a bunch of golem effect, and it gives you 2 extra golems. And then Shaper of Flames, which is hits always ignite, all damage can ignite, and enemies ignited by you have 40% of his damage they deal converted to fire. After that, you're taking Mastermind of Distord for the exposure, which we'll go over how the exposure system works in a minute. And Heart of Destruction for Convergence, which is really nice. The 30% more elemental damage is okay, but really the AoE is what you want. Especially considering I'm self-casting Reap. That AoE is super nice. Passive tree, pretty bog standard tree. Nothing too out of the ordinary. I am taking a lot of reservation because I'm running four different pretty heavy auras. We have Golem Commander for more buff effect and an extra Golem, which lets us run all 4 Golems. The Breath of Flames and the Mastery for this is 40% of Fizz damage converted to fire. Over here, just some block nodes. Aura nodes again, more block nodes. Coming down, elemental nodes, block nodes, elemental nodes. It's pretty self-explanatory. As far as gear goes, the gear is... You can do this in solo self-found. However, it's going to be kind of hard to get a few things. You're not going to be able to play this as your initial build in solo self-found. You really need a Polaric Devastation for the Covered in Ash, because it's just a lot more damage. The Death Rush is optional. It's just, I'm using it for the Chaos Res, basically. The Adrenaline's nice, the Life on Kill is nice, because it helps offset Reap, but it's mainly the Chaos Res. Incandescent Heart, this is a big one, because we're converting, or we're not converting, but we're gaining Elemental as extra Chaos, which is just another more damage multiplier than what we already have. The rest of the gear, other than an Obliteration, which this is just nice for clear speed, and it actually is quite a bit of damage, because again you're gaining Fizz as extra Chaos, and that does stack with our Incandescent Heart. If you had a pretty nice rare wand, you would run that instead though. The rest of the gear is rares and stats. You need a lot of stats for the build, because you're running so many different gems. So my helmet, Fizz damage from hits taken as fire damage. This is nice because of our ascendancy node. So when we ignite an enemy, we force them to convert their Fizz to fire, and then that helmet anoint makes us take less damage because we're taking all that Fizz damage that we converted now through our fire resistance. The +1 lightning res is just what I just rolled it till I hit a +1 res. It really doesn't matter. The amulet is a lot. You need a lot of dex. You need a lot of strength and a lot of dex on this build. Because we're a witch, we're top left heavy on the tree, and we're not really getting any strength or dex on the bottom right. The shield, you just want a lot of block chance, and you want, this is actually not a great shield. You want a lot of block chance, and you want a lot of spell damage if you can get it, because Reap is technically a spell. So the more spell damage you can get, the better. The more block chance you can get, the better. Death Rush, where it went over, Incandescent Heart, Plate Devastation. The gloves, now these are really, the gloves themselves don't matter, it's the implicits that matter. You need to have fire exposure on hit, and you need to have the ignite spread. That is two massive things. If you don't have the exposure, you have to run Wave of Conviction on your Arcanist brand. The ignite you inflict spread is super nice for clear speed, because you're always igniting, so everything gets ignited and it spreads. It's just so nice. You walk into a map, you hit your Reap once, and you just blow up 2 screens ahead of you, and it feels good. Belt, again, is stats and res, and your boots is stats. On your boots, you want to get an effect of a buff, any of your golem buffs. Fire damage, or the flame golem is the best, because your flame golem, the buff it grants is area of effect, so more AoE. So we'll go ahead, and I turned off all my auras just for the intro, but we'll go ahead and summon all of our golems, turn our auras back on. The rest of the boots, you just want move speed, ES, life. I'm setting on 3200 life, 1500 ES. Because of Incandescent Heart, we do have a percent scaling on ES, so any flat that you can get is nice. So as far as defenses go, you're kind of raw dogging it here. You're really not stacking a lot of any specific thing. You're relying on your max reses, or your plus max reses, your chaos cap, and then your block. That's the biggest defense that you're going to have on this build, is block. You do have a little bit of armor, but not much. That's why you really, really want to convert Fizz to elemental damage. That being said, being chaos capped is super nice, and having 76, 76, 77 max res is nice. If you're wondering how I'm doing that, it's through the tree here. So I'm getting a lot of chaos resistance here, corrupted blood, and then the max res is coming from, I can't remember where it's at. It might be on gear. I really don't remember. It's in the path of building. As far as gym links, really, it's pretty bog standard. If you've been on PoE Ninja in the last, 3 days since the league start, you've probably seen 40 different variations of the build. Some people are doing like a wander, a trigger wand, or trigger wander with kinetic blast, using Poet's Pen. I'm doing the self-cast with obliteration. You can kind of go either way. It's the same base, just however you want to play it. So your links are going to be Reap, and you really want to Val Reap, because the more blood charges you have, yeah, the more degen you have, but the more fizz damage you have, which means the more you convert, which is the more ignite. Burning damage, combustion, deadly ailments, and swift affliction. Your 6th link here is going to be either a high level empower like a 3 or a 4, or you can run something like an added fire damage just to get a base fire damage that you're then scaling more. I think the empower would probably be more in-game. If you get a level 4 empower, you're going to get more than what you would get out of an added fire gem. The wand, you're running Tempest Shield, Malevolence, Stone Golem. The golems really don't matter. The links don't necessarily matter on most of this. Just throw them where you can. Malevolence, you can swap that for Determination if you want more fizz damage reduction. I probably will once I get into T16 mapping. For now, I'd rather just have the more damage. Auras, you're running Herald of Purity, and then I've got 2 more golems and a Flame Dash, just to get over obstacles. Your main movement skill is going to be a shield charge with faster attacks and momentum. And then your Arcanist brand setup, which is this is going to kind of depend on if you have exposure or not. So you're going to run Flame Surge and Flammability, and then if you don't have exposure on your gloves, you're going to run a Wave of Conviction. Once you do get exposure, you can swap it for another curse, or you could leave Wave of Conviction if you want, depending on what kind of a roll you're going to get on your gloves. Whether you get -11, or I think that goes up to -16 if you have the better Exarch mod, or the currency. But I'm not really, or Eater World, sorry. I'm not really sure what the top end of that is. Eventually, though, you do want to run double curses, and you want to either path or anoint Whispers of Doom. You can path over here. There's quite a few good nodes on the way. You can get some energy shield leech, and then all of these little nodes for the the casting is nice. I know you're not technically casting it, even though your Arcanist brand's casting it. It'll still make it happen. It'll make it cycle through the loop faster. And then you're running your other golem, and then Herald of Ash. So you're running double heralds, Malevolence, and Tempest Shield, which is super nice. And yeah, you just kind of walk around and tap right click. And honestly, in a lot of lower, like even in yellow maps that I'm doing now, I mean, your shield charge has enough ignite damage where you can just shield charge through packs, and you're blowing them up because of obliteration and your ignites, the ignite spreading. You really don't even have to attack most times. So we'll go through this Sepulchre map. Sorry about the long load times. I'm not sure why this league has just had long load times for some reason. But you can see, like, even hitting enemies with a shield charge, you're going to blow them up. And that is why obliteration is super nice. Or if you just want to walk around and right click, you can just blow shit up, and that's super fun in this game. The Death Rush is kind of nice for mapping, just because it does give you that life back that you're spending. I will say, though, I think in endgame you're going to want a better second ring. You can probably get a lot more out of a better second ring than what you could just running a Death Rush. But my priorities are definitely Chaos Res, or staying Chaos capped. So whether I do end up running a rare ring or not, it's definitely going to have Chaos Res on it. And you can get some pretty nice Amethyst rings from Gwenin, the Gambler, from Expedition pretty easily. There's some nice explosions. The one thing that really kills the build, I think, is going to be bleeding, because Reap does have a life cost. So unless you have Corrupting Blood immunity and Bleed immunity, if you get hit by that, you're just tripling what damage you take when you're attacking. So, get to a boss, you're going to want to Arcanist brand it, hit your Valreap, and then you can just sit here and watch it melt. Because you're an Ignite build, it really is that easy. So yeah, I'll have a pastebin for Path of Building up in the description of the video. If you have any questions at all, let me know. Either join my Discord and ping me, or ask in the comments. And hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. I will give you another update here when I get higher into mapping. And I've been Mike, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day.